Welcome back to DHN. I'm Wade Teamer. So why is Energy Web token severely undervalued? Because the market that they're addressing is worth trillions of dollars. Now, Energy Web is an asset we haven't talked about in a long time. It's another one of those OG projects, and a lot of people have forgotten about it. It slipped all the way down, almost to number 500 on CoinMarketCap. But see, the thing about OG projects is that they have experience. And if they're still around after all these years, then clearly they're doing something right. Now, Energy Web is fresh off of a 14% rally. Ladies and gentlemen, not even sure where it came from. It could be because recently they teamed up with a certain company called PayPal. And I think this sparked everything off. And I did catch this on my radar, but I wanted to give it a couple of days. You guys know I like to meditate on certain stories. But then they dropped something else on us. This was in the last 24 hours, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to dig into each one of these, of course. But this auto green charge, this is placing Energy Web technology in front of the public, ladies and gentlemen. This is a public-facing application tailored towards EV vehicle owners, yes. But when we dig into the world of EVs, folks, you're going to see that there's a few problems that can be solved that I think Energy Web has aligned their energy towards, no pun intended, and they're ready to handle business. All right? Because digging back into Energy Web, the last thing we heard from them was late December. But they did start the year with a pretty interesting announcement. We can see it here. Dina and Energy Web unite to transform the energy system with digital identities. This is a German energy agency effort. So German government effort. They partnered with Energy Web to develop this system. Now, I remember when Dina initially started working with Energy Web a couple years back, they had plans for an application such as this, and it seems as though they have brought it to market. Now, the reason why is very interesting, and they elaborate on that here. The situation in Germany when it comes to renewables, the climate is shifting, as they say. And this shift is leading to a decentralized energy system with an increasing number of small-scale renewable energy facilities proliferating, including wind turbines, solar parks, batteries, electric vehicles, and distributed rooftop solar installations. Guys, I'm seeing that here. The distributed rooftop solar installations. And when I say here, I mean up the street. All right? Michiganders, look around. It's happening. But in this new landscape, consumer choice and seamless integration to various use cases like tracing renewables, using customer-owned assets for grid services, or selecting a different supplier is vital for efficient energy management. At the heart of the DIVE project lies a critical objective, which is establishing secure and reliable digital identities for these devices and systems within the energy sector. They go on to say that these will act as trust anchors and allow customers to verify the devices within the network simply. Energy Web specifically is taking the lead in developing and implementing use cases related to electricity labeling and verification. This includes the use of digital identities in conjunction with the registry and exploring energy industry use cases and their links to Identity Register. Additionally, Energy Web's contribution involves extending its open source green-proof solution to connect to the digital trust anchors of DIVE and leveraging the substrate-based Energy Web X-Chain. Now, two things here. One, Energy Web has always been focused in this direction. And every time we have a discussion on Energy Web, I try to reinforce that to people. It's not about climate change. It doesn't matter whether you believe it's happening or not. Energy Web's position is, from a software side, the infrastructure. The discussion is there, the narrative is there, the initiatives are there, the conviction is there, but there's no infrastructure for these companies to enact their desires on top of. That's what Energy Web provides. Simply put, it's just packaged as such to address the problem. Now, Energy Web X, that was the last major story for 2023. A lot of people were questioning, what is the reason? Energy Web and Polkadot, they're merging? Well, no. What it was is that Polkadot specializes in parachains or sub-blockchains. Essentially, Polkadot is the main chain and you can build blockchains on top of it to do whatever you want. Energy Web came along. Hey, let's use some of your computing power to address some of these energy related issues that we have on our network. Give them, even more functionality. And that's what they decided to do. And they came together with a system called SmartFlow, which is a new service product that makes it simple and easy for enterprise customers to launch Web3 solutions built on Energy Web X, the parachain powered by Polkadot's blockchain and substrate technology. If you fish around on the channel, I do have a video on Polkadot explaining substrate technology. But SmartFlow enables enterprise customers to configure and deploy custom business logic using decentralized networks of worker nodes. Worker nodes ingest data from individual enterprises or consortia of corporate customers, perform application-specific computational work on the data, and publish the results for enterprises and the public to verify. So, the data that gets published, all of that will mainly be used by enterprises. But what's built on top of this is the ability for companies to create a service such as the auto green charging service that will make use of both networks. Now, after that, I also found this. Energy Web announces the public release of Launchpad by Energy Web, which is another public-facing tool that allows companies, software developers to build solutions focused at the environment. So this is another instance where Energy Web's technology has just met the mainstream. It met retail. That's another reason you want to keep your eye on OG projects, ladies and gentlemen, because they've been working in the same direction for a number of years. And at a certain point, it's all got to come together. It's all got to come together. Now, we just looked at the Launchpad, but let's dive into this auto green charge. So the problem they're looking to address here deals with EV charging stations. I did do a bit of research about the current EV landscape. Let me just show you this map really quickly, courtesy of the Department of Energy. This is a current snapshot of where all of the EV charging stations are in the United States. Now, on this map, they appear to be bunched up, but of course, when you zoom in, they're actually very, very spread out. Sometimes in locations where, let's say, they're outside of the radius of your trip, or they're in remote environments that are susceptible to weather and vandalism, things like that. Well, this auto green charge, they created this application and this website for EV vehicle owners to find the best charging stations, because they bring up a statistic here. In 2023, electric vehicles used approximately 110 terawatt hours of electricity compared to annual electricity consumption of the Netherlands, and this figure is expected to increase tenfold by 2030. And although electric vehicles are far more efficient than gas-powered vehicles, electric vehicle charging in most markets around the world is not fully renewable. In the United States, 38% of charging is green, while in Europe, the figure is only 60%. So, why they created Green Charge? Well, they want to close that gap by calculating the sustainability of charging sessions and matching the non-renewable portions with verified energy attribute certificates. So, it again lines up with the Green Proofs, which is another version of a certificate that connects to renewable energy sources. Now, continuing, these digital tokens represent renewable power generation and have been used by governments and corporations like Google and Microsoft since the 2010s to decarbonize business operations. AutoGreen's charge functionality extends to a mobile app, allowing drivers to clean up their charging, and can be integrated into existing apps used by EV manufacturers and charging companies. Over time, users will be able to choose certificates from a variety of power plants with different characteristics, such as solar power plants situated in particularly dirty grids that have greater impact on decarbonization than renewable energy facilities in renewable rich areas. So they're essentially moving the concentration of EV charging stations from shifting the transactions from the bulky areas to some of the more remote areas. So in essence, expanding the network. Now, they've done this before with a company called Vodafone. I have a clip here. I'm going to drop it in really quick. It's just a few seconds. But check this out and you tell me if it sounds a bit familiar.
DAB connects our Internet of Things network with blockchain technology, enabling devices and cars to securely trade with each other. All without human intervention, but your full control. Let me show you how that works. DAB assigns each electric vehicle with a digital identity passport and matches this with the authorised driver. As the vehicle is plugged into the charging point, DAB establishes a secure connection. This confirms the identity of the vehicle and the charging point. It then manages the payment through a secure SIM digital wallet and takes care of the payment automatically. Multiple people can be authorised to use a particular vehicle and its payment credentials. This eliminates the need for businesses such as delivery firms and car rental companies to use costly fuel cards and manage payments for multiple drivers. Vodafone has also partnered with EnergyWeb to allow drivers to purposely select accredited renewable energy. This is just one example of how Vodafone DAB can help us and our devices pay for things securely in the digital world.
So, yeah, EnergyWeb, very unique asset, guys. And it also lends to a discussion that I've been having with my network, my team recently. Which parts of this market will and won't be affected by regulatory pressure? EnergyWeb is one of those assets. Definitely lines up, fits nicely right up under what a lot of the governments of the world are doing. But my focus right now and going forward is to keep things a bit local. It's another reason why I'm bringing up EnergyWeb, because the United States, ladies and gentlemen, they have plans. They definitely have some plans to electrify, bring the energy grid into the future. This report by PwC states that U.S. electric vehicle charging market could grow nearly tenfold by 2030. How will we get there? Well, a big push came in the form of the 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which sent funds of $7.5 billion set it aside for EV charging infrastructure. Then on top of that, the Inflation Reduction Act provided tax credits for both new and used electric passenger vehicles, as well as commercial vehicles. And then California announced it would ban the sale of new internal combustion engines by 2035. So, the same regulatory pressures that we see Ripple dealing with, it's literally the exact opposite everywhere else. That's something that's a very key aspect here. And then you have situations like out in the UK where there is a demand for EV charging infrastructure, right? And out in Europe where they want to incorporate EV charging, but they're having issues with their power grid, which in and of itself is another solution, is another problem that EnergyWeb kind of has a solution towards. Energy grid management. When we talk about primary use cases for EnergyWeb, that's one of their primary use cases. That's what they entered the market with. So, not saying that they could solve the whole problem, but they could definitely contribute. They can contribute. I'll just keep it that way. Now, just for, to keep everything level, I had to look into what some of the disadvantages were, what the problems were in relation to EVs, what could get in the way here. And every report that I read talks about how the biggest problem is the public charging stations. This article here by Bailey Schultz from USA Today asks, how reliable are public EV charging stations? Reports show many EV drivers have a number of issues, and they go into a story. And I love when they add the story. But basically, we have a brother from Oklahoma, and during one of his trips to university, he said one of the 4 chargers wasn't working along his normal route, and then one of the charging stations were delivering a limited number of kilowatts. He fell in line behind 3 other cars, making what was typically a 30-minute stop more than an hour. He ran into another problem at another charging station on the way back from the university. Now, taking EnergyWeb's solution into account here, if he was using the Auto Green application or their application with Vodafone that's running on EnergyWeb, he would have known that information beforehand, and he would have been able to readjust his trip. It's a small thing, but EV car owners, they probably jumped for joy when they heard that. Now, there was another highlight here that I have. Yes. So, how reliable are public EV chargers? There's a long list of circumstances that can make public charging stations non-functional. The chargers may have broken screens, plugs, or cords because of vandalism, theft, or sitting outside and enduring the elements for years. But I highlighted this piece here. Some have issues with their payment systems or experience network connection failures. Others have problems communicating with certain car brands, especially as more automakers enter the EV manufacturing space. Then there are user errors as more newcomers figure out how to work these systems. This auto green technology here, it's a reason why they have all these car brands listed. It's because these car brands are registered within the app. So, directly addressing one of the biggest problems that face EV car owners right then and there. And then the point about the regulatory side. Again, in January, Biden administration awards $623 million in grants to build out electric vehicle charging network. We've already seen how many there are, just according to the U.S. Department of Energy. And on top of that, this was in April. Biden administration details how producers of sustainable aviation fuel will get tax credits. Key word here, sustainable aviation fuel. Well, when you know it, Energy Web has been working through their subsidiary, Rocky Mountain Institute, on sustainable aviation fuel since 2022, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they created something called the Sustainable Aviation Buyers Alliance. I've covered this alliance before, and I'm just going to drop one name on you. Netflix. Netflix uses sustainable aviation fuel. And if you want to know why, well, Netflix is producing a heap ton of content. They have to bring in actors from all over the world, writers from all over the world. They have to travel to different locations to film this, that, and the third. Having sustainable aviation fuel on your books put you in line for these tax breaks, which is what we already know. That's what they want. So again, taking into account the entire landscape around Energy Web, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I think this token is severely undervalued. Yeah, it's an OG coin. Yeah, you can say this, that, VC dump, blah, 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 blah. I get that. But the watchers of this channel know that this is a transition that is not going to happen overnight. A lot of these assets will not really see mainstream attention until 2030. We're just trying to find the ones that will hit the market first. So with that, if you're looking to pick up some Energy Web, you already know where I'm getting it. I'm using Uphold right now. Link to that will be in the description. They are a channel partner, so I do receive compensation if you use the link in the description. Remember, crypto is very volatile. Don't put in more than what you're willing to lose. Also, after I get that crypto, for further security, I added to my hardware wallet. The wallet I'm using right now is the SafePal S1, another channel partner. They've been with us for years. I haven't had a problem. Use the link in the description. Also get compensated. Again, I thank you. But now to the best part. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.